On this episode, we're traveling to remote areas to get a chance to spear some massive fish on our pole spears. Joining me on this trip is the Van Hook family. We got Justin, his brother Derek, and their dad Ray. And we also have Ryan Myers Expeditions. Let's dive right in and see what we get into.
Gang's all here.
Yeah, we got the crew. We got blue water. I mean, we're in like a couple, what's the depth say?
Testing,
Bottom left.
testing.
101, we're in 100 feet. We got crystal blue. Yeah, this is amazing. Ryan, I have a special treat. I brought 2 stainless shafts for you. I got 2 stainless shafts. So
Are we gonna try this again?
yes, if I get a mutton, I'm going to tell you to shut up. I'm gonna say, F the Kong.
All right. So back to basics. Did it on green sticks, and I was literally like, dude, we just did this. It was garbage. Okay.
And?
Unbelievable.
I told you. Wait,
But
did they do mutton?
He did a hogfish, but he like roasted it and like, it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable.
Yeah. Ryan had his doubts for sure.
For good reason.
Yeah. If you haven't seen that video, go ahead and check it out. It was really funny. I'll link Ryan's channel. It'll probably be one of his more recent videos. And then also, I have that video. Check it out at the end of this. Got into very similar diving, but it actually wasn't grouper season and hogfish season. But season is open now. Open season on these fish. So we're gonna get after it. We got the Van Hooks.
Hey.
The trifecta. We got Ray, Justin, Derek, Rag Guy. All right, you guys, this is the key right here. I always use this mineral sunscreen. Anything else makes me break out. Not break out. No, I wish. Banana Boat, shout out Banana Boat, sponsor me. Corporate. But this stuff goes on thick, like war paint. Right here. That'll last me all day. Am I good? I'm gonna miss a spot. At least you know if you missed a spot.
Gotta get your ears, man.
Yeah, I know, I'll get them. There is no rubbing this stuff in. And it will stay in your beard if you have facial hair.
Ryan, we're marking pretty good on 128, man. Go check it out.
Yeah, Ryan, that's you. Warm up in 128. Dude, Ryan can't even dive to 120. I love diving with Ryan because it makes me realize how sad of a diver I am. I'm like, oh man, I'm diving like crap today, and I like look at my watch, I'm doing like 140, and I'm like, oh, I guess I'm okay, but he's like doing like 2+ minutes every drop. All right, guys, so one thing I like to do before I go offshore, I know I'm always diving, but I think it's a good idea to also bring a rod with you. And a lot of times I'll bring 2 rods, and I actually brought them today, and we got a big thick boy with a short stubby rod, and I usually rock a vertical jig so I can get something deep and also something heavy if I need to switch up lures, if I want to troll, if we're in a school of tuna or something like that. And then I also have a little caster, and I rock a little glass minnow on that, and I can cover pretty much majority of the fish that I would come across over here in the Atlantic. And I always think it's a good idea to bring that with you, because if you're checking a spot real quick, you could cast that in, see if there's anything around, anything biting, especially if something's floating or a weed line or something's popping at the surface. That's a good little thing you can use. So while I'm driving the boat, I go ahead and I use it as a time to warm up. So I'll do a little stretching, I'll do a little breathing, and I'll make sure I get loose. And I like stretching like my lats, I like stretching like my abs, and just twisting and kind of making everything loose. That way my diaphragm isn't like really contracted. Everything's nice and loose. Also, I can prep up, get my gear together, and make sure I have everything and take my sweet time. And also, the guys get a little scouting report, find out which way the current's going, also find out the viz, and hopefully they get some fish. No way. Ryan was on this fish for a while. Stuck him good. And ripped him out. Dude, that's a good fish, holy cow. All right, you guys, welcome underwater and welcome to the voiceovers. Now, normally I time the dives, I show the depth. I believe Ryan's around 65 feet right here, but he just turned on his GoPro, so we don't get the full dive, but you saw that big grouper kind of slide in this little canyon area. Now, the structure is massive here, so if you get an opportunity to fish like this, which he does, lands a perfect shot, and it goes way up the pole spear, and I think that actually created a giant hole. The slip tip was able to rip right out, and this fish was like haunting Ryan because he knows it's dead. He knows he put a massive hurting on it, so he is not gonna give up on this fish. And he sticks on this fish probably for about an hour, to the point where I was on the boat and I was like, all right, dude, let's just move on. But it's a good thing it worked out, and it's a good thing he was so persistent. So this was his dive. He left the pole spear down there to mark the area. The good thing, the current wasn't too strong and the sharks weren't too bad, which allowed him to really put a good search for this fish. Right at the end, he noticed, he was down there just about to grab his pole spear, head up to the surface, and he noticed a little bit of blood coming out of this hole, and it was just clear enough to where he could reach in and just pull this dead fish, pretty much dead, out of this little cavern. And I think this may be one of his bigger yellow fin grouper. They're an absolute delicious fish, and they don't get as big as black grouper, so one this size is very, very impressive. And you can actually see how stoked he is once he gets to the surface on this fish. What'd you do? Dude, stud.
Well,
That's a stud.
That is a stud.
right?
Yeah, man. Here.
So I drill the thing through and through. I have him up in my hands,
You got him?
and then I let it go out on my way up,
Nice.
and I lost him.
Yeah, that's a big yellow
is right.
Big yellow.
Sig special, baby.
Oh,
Get out of here. That one's mine. I'll take it home.
Sig special, baby.
That is a beast.
Oh, that's a good fish.
Yeah, that's a good one, dude. Good job, Ryan.
Thanks.
That one almost got the best of you.
Oh, dude, the last dive I went down and I was like, I'm done. I was gonna leave it. I went down to pick up my spear,
I was about to
and then I saw like a little bit of blood, and I was like, that's a hole, that's a hole.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then he
dude.
was laying down there dead. I picked him up, and then he tried to flop out of my hands.
I tried to get you out of there. I was like, hey, let's move on.
I know. Okay, you want to get in? I'll drive.
Oh, we can do that.
Let's
Fix
drive.
this thing. This rope keeps hitting me in my face. Here's a perfect way you can see the way I hook up my pole spear to my belt reel. I have an extra bungee that goes straight from the band that I use to power the spear with, that is blue, all the way to my belt reel. That way it stays out of my way. I'm free and can actually extend and reach out without having to worry about Dyneema and the other line getting all wrapped up on myself. My buddies over at Exhale Spearfishing got it all set up for me, so if you're in the Jupiter area, go ahead and give those guys a look. They definitely know what they're doing, and I highly recommend them. And you can also see the slip tip that we use is a Headhunter slip tip. They're incredible, and all you need to do is just get a little bit of penetration to make sure you secure your fish. Now here we go with the timer and the depth, so you can hold your breath with me. And we started pretty deep. We're going off this reef drop off, and that's usually where the fish like to hang out. Sometimes you get lucky and they're up on top of the reef. In this case, weren't really seeing them on top of the reef. I mean, obviously, Ryan shot that one grouper. Most likely, muttons, cuberas, and certain things like to hang off where the sand meets the reef. So that's the area I'm going to, and I'm roughly about 80 feet on this drop. And I saw some muttons in the distance, and I was hoping that some grunting, some dusting down there at the bottom would kind of bring him in. And I end up doing a fairly long dive, and I see a mutton off in the distance, but he just doesn't come in. I push myself a little bit longer to try to stay down there, hoping that he gets a shot. I know Derek is watching me because I looked at him and told him that I was going to go down, which is always a good thing to do if you're diving with a buddy and you're going to make a deeper drop, longer drop. Make sure they know that you are, so they're not distracted by another fish, and they're also paying close attention to you when you're making these drops. I keep dusting, keep doing some grunting, hoping that this mutton, I don't even know if you can see it right there in the far side of the screen, there's just probably half a dozen muttons keeping their distance, not even close enough to where I can lunge out and take a Hail Mary shot. They're just right there. Again, you saw him in front of the camera, that he's just out of range, even for me to just lunge and shoot. And they just weren't really giving me the time of day on this drop. And this whole trip, the muttons weren't as around as they usually are. But we do get into some fish, so don't go anywhere. like, subscribe, be sure to follow along these adventures, and keep holding your breath with me. We have some epic dives coming your way. Couple of them. Just like I said, where the sand meets the reef, we're doing the same kind of diving except on the opposite side of the reef. This is a little shallower. It's on the shallower side of the shelf. And once I hopped in, there were grouper everywhere. There were black grouper, tiger grouper, and that's what we were going after this trip. There see a smaller grouper right up at the top of the camera, but there was a giant one under this edge. You can see to the right another smaller black grouper, but the one I'm after is right here, and you'll see I have possible opportunity right there. I could have taken the shot, and then another one right here. I could have shot right there, right as he turned. It would have been perfect. It would have probably gotten a gill plate shot, but I really don't like the headshot, and I wasn't about to rush it. The grouper wasn't really spooked, and this guy, unfortunately, got into the reef, and it's like an absolute maze in there, and there was no finding that grouper once he got inside the main part of the reef. Even though that grouper got away, boy, the Kubera snapper were absolutely everywhere, and these guys were perfect size. They were anywhere between 10 and 25 pounds, almost every one of them. And the next dive I do, you'll see absolutely how many there are, and it's gonna make you just be like, oh my god, I shoot because that's what I was thinking. But on this dive particularly, I don't shoot, but you can see Justin is down there, and there's a school of Kubera kind of coming into him. They're a little hesitant, so what I do is I swim really fast the opposite way, and I've done it before, and it makes the Kubera kind of chase after me because they're wondering what I'm doing. And if he's stationary and still, literally the Kubera came right up to him. He landed a perfect shot in this fish. I think that was one of the first Kubera we got, and they're all roughly this size. A couple bigger ones, but majority of them were about this size, and you'll see in just a minute.
I swam away from it. Bro, I was down there with you, I saw him, and I just started hauling ass the opposite direction, and then he came into you. I've done that before. They like, if you move away, then they're like, what the hell? And then if you were just sitting stationary, they'll come right by you. Yeah. Good job.
I just went down there, I was hiding my face, and I looked up right there, and I what?
Yeah.
Just let it go.
It's that easy.
Yeah.
These things are that easy.
Here is the dive that I'm talking about. It's a wild one, and see how many Kubera you can count while I'm on this drop. It's insane. But I go down to the bottom, and I kind of am just traveling, kind of pecking along as I go down, but that's a whole school of Kubera off in the sand right there, and that's not even all of them. There's even more that just come in. I load up my pole spear because I usually don't like loading it at the surface. I load it while I'm down. And again, that is a huge school of Kubera right in front of me. There's a bunch of Bermuda chubs in the mid-water column, which is great that there's a ton of life everywhere. And the whole reef is fired up. I don't know if it's just this one time a day or the current was right, but there's a Kubera right there in front. There's a couple more, and I was being selective. I was trying to pick the bigger one. I could have taken that one. That was a really good size one, the one right in front of me. But I'm just swimming along with them. And again, here come even more, and they start doing that territorial thud. And every time I go to extend, they do that thud and just bolt. But yeah, there's just so many on this drop, and I'm not really, giving them a ton of pressure. I'm not really kicking hard at them. I'm just down there acting like I'm not I'm no threat. And that was kind of a weak attempt, but I figured, God, there's so many down here. I have to at least attempt a shot on one. And if that pole spear, if that slip tip engages and you get a little bit of penetration, you're most likely going to land that fish. While we were diving, a nice Zero came cruising through, so that was my cue. I threw my little throw flasher. You can see it at the top of the screen. Some triggerfish are kind of pecking at it, and as that happens, nice Zero comes in, land a perfect spine shot in the fish. Doesn't really give me too much juice, so I just go pick up the flasher. Pole spear's kind of weighing this guy down, and we add some sashimi and variety to the fish for the day. Here's a great dive where we actually reset on the same spot. I kind of know what to expect. So on this dive, I'm going down to the reef, and we at this point might be close to have limited on our Cubera snapper. I think Derek shot one, Justin shot one. We had, I think, 2 more to shoot, but I believe the limit was, I think it was like 2 that were over 30 inches or over 25. So we checked the rules and we made sure we were within state limits on Cubera. So we weren't going for any, monsters because we weren't allowed to bring them back. So I got to the reef and I'm just cruising along, bumping with the current. Nice lemon shark comes just cruising in. And when the shark comes around, I usually get pretty excited because that's usually when the predator fish like to come around. But Ray is up above me, so I know I have a backup diver. If the sharks decide to turn and get a little crazy, I know that Ray will go down there, play defense if he has to. And here comes a Cubera. I want to make sure I get at least one for the trip. There goes that slip tip, engaged. It was kind of like I was going for a spine shot, but I ended up not spining it, but it was a good mid-body shot. Slip tip engaged, bring him up to the surface. I had my head on a swivel, looking for the shark. I don't want to pull the fish into my hands just yet. Just keeping him around my fins. If a shark comes in, I'll be able to kick him in the face, or Ray would back me up and go poke away the shark. Once you get these fish in your hand, I always love to practice braining them immediately, and then with the snapper, like dog snapper, Cuberas, mangroves, even muttons, really bleed your fish because it makes such a difference in the meat, and it gets that blood out of the meat. And those fish usually, if you don't, they tend to have a much bigger bloodline than, say, hogfish and grouper. Here goes one of Ryan's dives, and I think pretty much everybody has shot a Cubera snapper at this point. I'm not quite sure if Ryan has or not, but he's heading to the drop-off, and that's what this current was doing. It was starting shallow, pushing us across the reef. That's where we saw some of the Cuberas, and then drop-off, and again, you'll see even the bigger Cuberas in the drop-off here. And this is about 83-ish feet to the sand. Ryan does his normal tactic where he goes down really steady, really calm, burning hardly any oxygen, but just free falling all the way to the sand. Does a little bit of grunting, a little bit of scratching, hoping to pique the curiosity of these Cuberas, and sure enough, he does. You can see him just coming in slowly, but they're timid a little bit, and Ryan doesn't just point out the spear right at him, because you see exactly what happens if you give him a little bit too much interest. They do that little thud and dart around. So he just holds his spear out in one general direction, so he's not tracking it left and right. Slowly moves it with the fish, lands a really good shot, and I'm actually right above him because we get into a little bit of shark action here. This lemon shark gets a little too frisky, comes in real hot on the fish. Luckily, Ryan was kind of jerking it away from the fish just enough. I'm booking it down to try to help him out a little bit. And once I get down there, I'm either going to poke the shark away or this shark kind of, you know, veers off. So I go ahead and grab Ryan's pole spear, and I start kind of hoisting the fish up just to make sure that Ryan can get up to the surface safely without having to stress too much on him there, just in case he runs into any trouble. Now we go to an area where it's super deep. It is about 90 feet to the sand, and I'd say about 80 to the top of the reef. This is Ryan's GoPro, and you'll see it was a pretty interesting clip. He sees a mutton that's kind of like camouflage, which is really unusual. But he's making his way down to this reef. I believe it might be a blind drop. He's just kind of going to go down, scout it out, check out the area. But shortly after this, I get into something, and Derek gets into something even bigger. But he goes down, he sees this one mutton, and then off in the distance, he sees another mutton, but he couldn't really make out what it was because it was all kind of camoed out and like hidden in that cave, but it was an absolute giant. But before he even realized, the fish just took off. But this was a really good mutton area, and he heads up to the surface, and I'm doing a breathe up at the surface to prep a dive. And as you saw, there are a lot of good muttons in the area. So that's a little foreshadowing to what I get into whenever I prep for my dive. Now go ahead and hold your breath with me on this drop. I believe I go to about 89 feet on this drop. It's shortly after Ryan makes his. And again, I'm just doing a blind drop. I'm going down. Don't really see anything from the surface. And it's kind of hard to because it's such a far distance unless it's a really big fish. So as I'm going down, I'm peeking, looking out into the sand, hoping that a hogfish or a mutton or something comes in. Sure enough, I look to my right. Actually, no, I think it's to my left. I don't know. I'm a little turned around here. But either way, yeah, right there at the top of the screen, a mutton starts coming in. Haven't really shot a mutton this trip, but I really want to get a mutton for the campfire tonight. So I start dive bombing this guy. He seems pretty chill. Get just close enough. Land a good shot right behind the gill plate. And I start heading up. I don't really realize how big this guy is, but I start heading up, and I'm looking out, and I'm realizing I'm really not gaining anything on this guy. So I end up letting a little bit of my belt reel out just to enable myself to get up to the surface, and Justin comes and helps. And when you're diving this kind of stuff, you got to make sure you're buddy diving because it is deep. Things can happen real fast. You see Justin's there right on top of me, helping me out with the fish, just so I can make sure I get to the surface without having to pull the fish up myself. Otherwise, I'm just letting belt reel out. As we're getting into this kind of deeper action, Derek spots an absolute stud of a grouper. It's right, he chills and is just parked right where the sand meets the edge of this reef. And again, this sand is in about almost 90 feet. And Derek just makes a drop. The grouper, we already spotted him. He's behind that fan in the top right part of the screen. Right at the top now. And Derek is using this fan as kind of as camouflage to close the gap. But once that grouper knows his presence, he starts moving. Derek lets him have it. And once you stick these fish, there's a high chance they're going to rock up into a hole. And that's what he did. If he would have just pulled, there's no way he's going to put the brakes on that grouper. So he just dumps his reel, lets the fish go. The line is basically going to be a little breadcrumb trail right to the grouper's hole. And now we got to make a dive.
Dude, he's huge. I know he is.
I have a sub NATO if we need it. So I believe Ryan, before this drop, made a drop and said that the grouper came off. I ended up grabbing the Subnado to really kind of do a recon, and if you haven't seen that other video where it's Subnado, it's basically like an underwater jetpack you put on your arm, and the trigger is in one hand, so it's almost like a ring, and you put it on, so I'm able to hit the throttle and hold my pole spear and clear my ears with my left hand to get all the way to the bottom without having to kick at all. And on this drop, I'm actually, I'm mainly using it to pull his pole spear out without having to, kill myself, especially since I'm not going to be going after any fish. So I get his pole spear unlodged because he just, the way it was angled in there, wasn't going to come out. So I get it up, I kind of set it on top of the reef in an area where it won't get caught, and he could just start pulling it up and reeling in his belt reel line right there. But as I was down here, I wanted to kind of get a glimpse and see what this guy's cave looked like and what it was all about. And with this Subnado, I'm able to kind of like bump around and adjust my body without having to kick up a bunch of the muck. And I saw that there was a big cave in there. Unfortunately, I didn't have my light on me on this drop, but I was able to kind of see what structure and where that grouper kind of took off and went through. But I'm assuming that cave went out that backside because we saw the grouper leave the hole. He just had a little flesh wound, and he found another cave to go in, and it was just a little too deep for us to just keep doing drop after drop. But later in this series, this is going to be a 2-part series, you could see us getting into some caves and how hard it is, even in shallower caves. But this grouper got away, lesson learned, but it was an awesome experience, and I'm glad you guys can hopefully learn something from it. At this point, it was getting a little late in the day, so we decided to grab some conch and head towards the remote islands.
Put it inside a hermetically sealed plastic bag and beat it with the backside of a drywall hammer.
You guys, we made it to home base, which is a little remote island in the middle of nowhere. We got little beach set up right there, boat over there. Ray just handled the conch, but everybody's pitching in, kind of throwing things together. I just got rinsed off. These guys have been hauling wood. The van hooks are actually in charge of this operation, cooking operation.
It's gonna be good.
I feel like I know that these two together are gonna make something really good, and we're gonna have a variety, and it's all gonna be from the stuff we caught today, so stay tuned and we're gonna get into it.
Hey Ryan, you wanna come watch me film me prep this thing? Look at this guy. This is round 2. What are you doing with those? Tell the people what the plan is.
I think you know what this is. We failed once. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, ain't gonna happen. All right, Ryan's gonna find out the hard way how good this is. And
so you got the rattiest shafts again you could find.
There's still leftover grouper, bro.
Are those?
Bro, there's leftover grouper.
Who belongs to these?
These are ours, dude.
You don't shoot them at fish though.
Yeah, we do. Look, they're notched. We know they're ours. You see the notch?
Do you hate the fish?
They're notched. But dude, there's still leftover grouper. Do you see the crust in there?
Yum, that'll give it extra flavor.
Yeah, we'll give that mutton flavor. I dare you to eat this.
Not even a chance. I'm not that guy. I don't like eat that. That's you though, on camera.
Smells okay.
Oh yeah, it's probably fine. It's a fish chip. That's vile.
Not very good. It actually tastes like it's just salty.
It's an appetizer for his cooking though. So it's gonna be about on par with that. And to concentrate that to make our fire, correct, Jack?
Yes, correct. Actually, Ryan is actually really excited for the redemption cookout. If you've seen the last episode, you'll know exactly what we're talking about.
So Jack completely failed on my beautiful yellowmouth grouper last time.
Your yellow grouper was trash.
Since that trip, I have been out catching, cooking in tropical paradise with Back to Basics, and I gotta say, they know what they're doing, and their hogfish over the open fire was incredible. So Jack is up now for round 2 redemption. Look at this thing. What is the plan, Jack?
Dude, this is gonna be the fish of your dreams. That grouper was the fish of your nightmares. This is gonna be the fish of your dreams. It took me 87 feet, I got this bad boy. Oh, it almost drowned me. Justin literally saved my life and got our lines all intertwined. But yeah, no, I'm gonna prep this. Ryan's gonna film me, and it's gonna be good.
All right, Jack, what you got going on?
All right, so it's better so you don't stab your knuckles. It's better to do with gloves or in the water when you're diving. But I already bled him, brained him, and gutted him, and that's like the key. You don't have to take the gills out because you're not cooking them over, like you're not boiling them or anything, so that's not gonna get into the meat. And you're just gonna scale them all the way down to the skin. I'm like halfway done, you can see this stuff. It's like kind of soft skin, unlike that grouper nightmare that we dealt with last time.
That was your idea.
Rule of thumb, do not cook whole grouper over the fire. It's not good.
Through the fish last time. Let's see if anything's changed.
Dude, you were the one who did it.
Yeah, but
And
you gave me this. This is what I had to deal with, guys.
It's all about the proper leverage.
All right. How Jack dies. Yum. Do you have your tetanus shot?
Shit. Whoops.
Yeah, I did this. Remember that? Do you remember my struggle, guys? This was that. Is this the strategy through the mouth?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, this is the way.
I don't know, dude. I don't know, dude. I've only done this like 3 times.
0 times successfully.
All right, you know what? I think I had a dream about this. And I think I dreamt that we did this and then we just used the other spear to kind of prop up each side and spin it. Does that sound right?
None of it sounds right, Jack, but it's fine. You do whatever you want. This is a Jack expedition. This is a
What about
Jack.
what about in the eyeballs? In the eyeballs and out the...
I do not care.
Here, so we'll at least have 2 points of contact. Ready? Oh. Dude, Ryan, why are these spears so dull?
You chose these.
Where's that hammer? Or that conch shell?
You need to hold the shaft closer to the fish.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know if the hammer's gonna do too much good.
Yeah.
I can't.
What if hypothetically the spear was sharp? Would that help you? No.
I just had no leverage. Like my hands keep
Okay.
slipping.
Hold the shaft right there.
Yeah. We just have to get closer to the...
Which angle you want to go
This
at?
is a
like,
dad
Like that,
job.
like that.
like that?
Yeah. Go. You got it? There you go.
This takes a real man.
We just needed 2 hands.
Just needed the 2 right hands.
The two right. That's right.
There we go.
And a little bit of
Shit.
leverage.
It'll work. Yeah. Trick is to make these gashes, and when you season it, you just cake everything inside and on it. Are you laughing at me?
No.
All right, we're getting it done. We are high and dry. Well, not high and dry, but we're getting pretty dry over there. We got this beautiful mutton cooking up. And Derek just had a little bit more wood to the fire. We're just gonna try to keep that fire pumping. We have plenty of wood. And what we got over here, well, you can see it kind of got a little dark. We got some clouds rolling in. Like, it is not looking great. But I went ahead and already got, quick, I'm actually gonna run over and show you my setup that I'm rocking with. I got this Haven tent, and I actually just bought my dad one too for Father's Day. And it's, look at this thing. High and dry, plenty of space between here. And I have these little whoopee slings where it's these Dyneema cords, and it's like a little finger trap. So you can tighten it really tight, so it's nice and, you know, tight, and then you can just let it go and it holds it. And then whenever you want it, you just pull on it, disconnect it, and then they just loosen up real easy. So like basically they tighten as they get pulled on. But even if we have this rain, I have this beautiful tarp. I can drop down from inside of the tent. This is a no-seam net, lay flat hammock. So I'm gonna be chilling tonight. I'm gonna be really chilling. Ryan, do you wanna come and snuggle with me whenever we start getting dumped on tonight?
Well, there's room for 2 in there because my situation is,
Boy Scouts.
well, mine's looking okay. However, I've had 0 good nights in my hammock in the rain. Like 0. Like it is like a fair weather camping situation.
First time for anything.
However, I am not nearly as poorly set up as some of these other guys. So
Is it bad? I haven't even checked.
This one's rain fly was, I brought rain gear. So it'll be rain gear inside the swampy hammock, inside the sleeping bag. So we'll see how that goes.
I think we'll be okay. I'm really praying and hoping that we'll be okay. But I'm gonna really put that Haven tent to the test. And then, real quick, we need to eat something. And these guys have been working on that conch, nice and fried. We got a beautiful badge. And look at this, wind protectors, genius. That's genius, dude. That's pretty freaking smart. All right, I'm gonna grab a giant chunk of conch here. We got a lot, so we're gonna be eating good. The final entree right here. Bro, I know.
Holy shit!
I know, it's not gonna be good. If that comes this way, we are kind of messed up.
Oh, really bad.
Yeah, I mean, we're staying dry for now, but, oh God, did you see that?
Yeah, no, I saw that.
Oh my God. It's all right, it's heat lightning.
Jack Mitchell Expedition.
It's heat lightning.
It's not.
It's heat thunder. Yeah, definitely what it is. All right, I gotta see these other guys set up. Why don't I check in on them in the morning? That might be a better depiction. Oh my God.
No, that was a stupid amount of lightning.
It's not coming our way. That's not coming our way, and it is, it's just heat lightning. Keep telling these guys that. They just don't get it. All right, you guys, we did it, finished. This is the end product. We had a little bit of an issue taking it off the fire, but we got it done. And I just grabbed a little nugget that was sitting on top. You just grab the little square pieces that you've made by, how do you call it, scoring it. We're really tired. This thing is really hot. Bro.
Is it eatable?
Dude, it is like way better than anything you've ever tried. Make sure you get skin with it. It's like crunchy and it tastes like KFC chicken skin.
A little sand in it?
No, there's no sand. The sand touched the tail. Ryan's mad because I dropped it. Dropped the prize fish. I'm serious. Try it. I'm serious, guys. Try this stuff. It is so good. It is so good. Grab skin with it. Yeah, grab that piece. Just eat that.
This?
Yeah, eat it. Derek's gonna give it a shot. Dude, so good. So good. It is so good. I'm not even joking.
The snapper skin almost has like a chicharron crunch.
Yeah,
to
it's
it.
like crunchy.
Try and pick a piece without too much sand in it. I'm gonna rich cracker it.
You don't need to. It's crunchy without it.
Fine, fine, fine. Wow.
Dude, like super
really
good.
good.
It's like super good.
I'm very impressed.
Right?
I spent the last 20 minutes talking a lot of shit about this, but that's delicious. Why is it so good?
Dude,
It's like buttery too.
it's so good.
Why?
Magic. It's magic.
I don't understand.
It's freaking delish.
Bro, you've redeemed yourself.
Right?
I'm so impressed.
Here, cheers.
Cool.
Cheers. It's so good.
Wow.
You didn't even hear it crunch. So good. All right, it's starting to rain, and just as I was settling in, disaster struck. This tree I was strapped into just crashed down. Dude. Well, I'm gonna attach to yours. Dude, I'm gonna attach to yours, right? Yeah, I think it'll be all right. Only one way to find out. Damn it. Dude, that sucks. I'll show you the disaster in the morning.